Hello, Saints. We're still in the book of Revelation, and we've been looking at some of the things like the river of life from Ezekiel and how it shows up there in chapter 14, and we talked about it there in the eternal kingdom. We're going to go back to the beginning of the book and just catch a glimpse of context I want you to see. I want you to see Revelation, the story of Revelation, kind of like in a basket and all couched together. It's not a loose story. It's not a runaway story. It's not bits and pieces here and there. It's coherent, and it has a purpose, and it's about God's love for us and Him being with us and us with Him. John, after the introduction of Revelation 1, John says, I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day, there in verse 10. And then he says, I heard a voice, as it were, of a trumpet. And when he says he looked, he heard the trumpet saying, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last. And what you see right in the book, John, send it to the 7 churches which are in Asia. John says, I turned to see the voice that spoke to me, and having turned, I saw 7 golden lampstands. In the midst of the 7 lampstands, one like the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the feet, girded about the chest with a golden band. His head and hair were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were like a flame of fire. His feet were like the fine brass, as if refined in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. And he had in his right hand 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword, and his countenance was like the sun, shining in its strength. And when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead. And he laid his right hand on me, saying to me, Do not be afraid, for I am the first and the last. I am he who lives and was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore. Amen. And I have the keys of Hades and of death. Write the things which you have seen, and the things which are, and the things which will take place after this. And so we see here a picture of Jesus. Jesus in his divinity. The fire, the bronze, the flame. This is the divine. This is a theophany. A theophany is an appearance of the deity to us mere mortals. In this case, it's a Christophany. It's the appearance of Christ. And he has a message for John to write to the 7 churches. And what we're going to get when we read chapters 2 and 3 is we're going to see 7 messy churches. But there's one takeaway from the whole thing. However dysfunctional we are as God's people in his church, he has not deserted us. He is with us because he longs to be with us. What I want you to understand about the story of Revelation is this. It begins here on earth with Jesus and the 7 churches living in a sinful world. The seven churches are his church militant. It's in this world he wants to preserve them and restore them, save them out of it. And so the story begins there because his love is for you. At the end, what we did last time talking about the forever kingdom there, at the end of Revelation 22, is where it all ends, back on the new earth. So the whole book of Revelation is contained within the idea of Jesus with his people. First, his sinners. Second, his victorious, living in the forever kingdom. The story of Revelation begins on earth and ends on earth. And everything in between is a story about what takes place in heaven. Remember John 14, 1-3. But after the Last Supper, they had some problems when Jesus told them they would deny him. And then he settles them down. He says, Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me, for in my Father's house is much room. I've gone to prepare a place for you, he says. And if I have gone to prepare a place for you, I will come again to receive you unto myself, so that where I am, there you may be also. That is the story of the book of Revelation. It's preparing a place of belonging for you and me. So when we get there, we'll be perfectly at home. Let's share the message with others about going home. Blessings.